Some of you may be surprised that I do have a favorite World War II game. In fact, we play all sorts of World War II games on this channel, right? But I consider this one, Barbarossa Decisive Campaigns, the best one. And I'll explain why. I mean, honestly, looking at it right now, you guys probably aren't that impressed, right? It's not the prettiest looking game at all. But there is so much depth here. And if you guys have played Decisive Campaigns Barbarossa before, let me know. And if you haven't, let me know too, and let me know your favorite World War II game. Now, you start off here, you can play as either the Soviets or you can play as the Germans. So technically it is an Eastern Front World War II game. But there's so much here that you can mess with. You can actually have a historical start, which I really enjoy. You can do everything from easy mode to making the Soviets tougher to actually adding a mild winter instead of the typical brutal Soviet winter, right? But the thing about this game that is so incredible, so I just want you guys, I'm not going to read this all out because there's way too much to read, but there's a lot of information, and as you can see there's a -10 +10 to prestige. And it's actually based on morals and ethics, believe it or not. And I'll show you guys why. Essentially, if you're playing as the Germans or you're playing as the Soviets, you're fighting against two things. You're fighting against, of course, the enemy, but you're also fighting against political factions within your own government, which I think is so awesome. And it's something that you really rarely, if ever, see in these games. If you take a look over here, I know, it's not that impressive. We're going to get into some combat soon. I'm going to press the next turn, but I just wanted you guys to take a look here at the reps information here. So if we go to Summon to Berlin, the Führer has requested your presence in Berlin in order to agree upon strategy for Operation Barbarossa. Now, to make this decision, you actually use up some of the points that you gain throughout the game. And these are political points. Now, there's any sort of different ways you could go about this, and the same goes for the Soviets. You could support Stalin 100%, you could support the Führer 100%, or you could start to maybe, just maybe, show a little bit of dissent and go against him. You know, be a general like Rommel, for instance, and really focus on your men and ignore the political class. Unfortunately, that could also cost you your life. In this case, we are going to be a super loyal follower here, and as you can see, our political points bonus got a boost. The issue, of course, is that we're going to have to go with Hitler's approach to, you know, obviously the Eastern Front. And as you can see, we've got additional sort of like just random happenings that occur. In this case, a spy at Minsk rail station informs us that a large oil train is scheduled to cross the border at approximately 0300 on the morning of the offensive. And we could try and grab that. So we could delay the offensive to capture the train, and there's an 80% chance of a good outcome. So there is a little bit of RNGesus there. Now, as you can see, we did capture the train, but because of that, and this is where it gets even cooler, we lost a relationship, a little bit of a relationship with von Bock, which is, of course, one of the generals that's going to be overseeing us. So, you know, you might do well with the Führer, but maybe you don't do well with the other generals. It really depends. Additionally, here you get to select the specific routes for Army Group North, Army Group Center, and Army Group South, and you kind of get to lead Operation Barbarossa as you would want. In this case, it's all about converting rail lines, and converting rail lines costs money, of course. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We can also go ahead and rest a unit, but we're going to skip that for now. Right now, I'm really just trying to get through the initial parts of the game, and we're going to jump into the combat element, which I'll admit, maybe not as cool as the ethical element of the game, but this is still solid here. I mean, just look at these unit cards. They're beautiful. There's a ton of actual information attached, including experience, the unit integrity, the amount of fuel they have. It's just fantastic. Now, we also have a really cool diary that's kept by Oberst Franz Halder, and the Soviets get the same thing. They get a specific soldier that is willing to share his thoughts. And interestingly enough, this soldier can die, right, during your combat. You know, he can actually perish. And I'm sorry, in this case, it's Private Hugo Lerche. And as you can see, he can get wounded, he can die, etc., depending on just how the game goes. Sometimes it's very random. Now, if you're a fan of the War in the East games, you're going to love this, which is essentially, it's quite similar to War in the East. In this case, however, you're actually selecting who's going to be attacking, and you want to use this button right here, the land attack. and we can list how many units we have. And as you can see, we've got a number of different units. Each one is going to, of course, have different bonuses, different negatives, but more importantly than that, you're going to get a concentric advantage. So what does that mean? That means if you have units surrounding the enemy, right, you can go for that concentric advantage and try to surround those units to get a bonus on your attack. However, you do want to keep in mind the amount of energy you're going to be spending. I would go for the full 300, but I'm not. I'm going to go ahead and just go for a standard attack because I think we can break them anyway. And look at the amount of details you've got here, guys. Like, you've got details on every single loss. You've got details in every action. Okay, you can see that a 37mm anti-tank gun fired on Soviet infantry. You can see that a 105mm gun attacked Soviet infantry. And there's multiple rounds of combat. There's also unit reports here that really just let you know kind of what happened. For those of you that like dice rolls, there are panic tests. So if you get a shock attack, there is a chance the enemy just retreats, which is exactly what they did here. Now, if we were playing a campaign, obviously I would treat this differently. My goal would be to surround these Soviet units, not just to go out into all-out combat with them, but we're not. In terms of moving units, it's that simple. As you can see, we go ahead, we push a unit forward. Of course, it's not as simple as just, oh, we got a unit forward, let's go. The fact is, the unit has all sorts of stuff associated with it: manpower, fuel, even fighting spirit. So you've got to keep these things in mind. We're going to go ahead and do another attack here, a concentric attack. And if we have some air units, we don't right now, but you can use air units to assist in your attack. In this case, we're going to use actually 4 units and see if that makes a difference. You can see, though, that it's stuck on 20%, so I doubt it will. But nonetheless, we got a lot of kills there, all right? A lot of kills. And I should have shown you this before, but look at just the textual detail. It's something like, tell me if I'm crazy with this. I could be like a psychopath, okay? Because I love seeing the casualties in a war game. Like, if I don't see the casualties either on the field or in the game itself, I really just, I don't know. I lose a lot of respect for the game. So I think that's just an awesome element. Of course, we've got controversial units like the SS Totenkopf Division available here in this game. And the same for Soviet units. In this case, we're going to take a tank with us just so you guys can see how that works. We're going to go ahead, assisting with the tank push. And boom, right again. Just go over here, look at the graphics. The enemy has retreated. I would ask also, if you guys want to see a full playthrough of this, let me know in the comments down below. I'll be honest, way back when I first started this channel, we did a War in the East where the viewers, you guys, could decide on different army groups, different divisions, etc. I'm thinking of bringing that back if everybody would like to see a Let's Play of Decisive Campaigns Barbarossa. Let's also take a look here at the reps, and it looks like we're getting a message from the aviation industry that our initial air offensive has been an outstanding success. In fact, it's hard to believe the extent of our victory, but reconnaissance flights have confirmed what the logical mind can't fathom. Over 2,000 enemy planes destroyed, guys. This is massive, and now we have to decide how to continue. I am actually going to maintain the offensive for a couple more days. But these are the decisions you have to make as a general, and keep in mind, not only are you potentially pissing off some other generals, but you're losing political points every time you do this, right? Every time you make a decision, etc., you are going to lose some political points. And sometimes, in certain situations where you wish you can make a decision, you simply can't. We've also got a beautiful card system here, and I know, like, I'm one of the first to run away from a card system in a game, but this one is actually quite good. It's pretty much you use political points to adopt postures. So, for instance, if we want to go Blitzkrieg with Army Group North, we're going to play that card. We're going to select an actual HQ, and as you can see, we can't yet play it. 4th Army may not even be AGN. I think it is, though. That being said, you use political points to play these, and of course, your units will respond in kind. Now, there's so much to conquer in this game. As you can see, you obviously can go all the way to beautiful Moscow. You've even got a Finnish front over here to the north. And if you would prefer to play at a later date in the war, or if you would prefer to play as the Soviets, that's all an option. You know, you can do all of that. It's really just up to you. Actually, taking that unit, yes. One thing that matters in this game is supply lines. I wouldn't say this is my favorite strategy game if that weren't the case. So you can absolutely cut off enemy supply, just like you should be able to, in my opinion, in virtually any war game. That being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed my selection here for my favorite World War II game. It might not be yours, and that's why I always ask for you guys to put your thoughts down below. But again, I really like this one, and I think the moral and ethical element is a huge factor in that. You know, this game really doesn't shy away from the terrifying element of World War II that was the unfortunate political consequences, right? It's great to be able to play, you know, a game that shows you the combat. That's awesome, but World War II is a lot more than just combat, right? It was a deeply, deeply political conflict, and I think this game really shows that. The only thing I do feel bad about in this particular Let's Play, if you want to call it that, is I didn't show you guys the Soviet side. But again, if you want to see the Soviet side in a separate video, I will make that happen for you. And look at that casualty count, man. That's brutal. Thank you so much, guys. If you made it this far in the video, I'd ask that you please like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. And I'll catch you on the next one.